I want to talk about your, like, I guess, outlook on life. You've lived such a unique life compared to a lot of people, just, normal folks who like grow
Mm-hmm.
up, go to college, get a job, and you've lived this wild, like doing what you love and
Mm-hmm.
getting good at it, and then getting to travel the world on other people's dime and experience so much shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't imagine you would trade this life for much else. Like, that seems like it's been a good one from what I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm sure like you and I have talked like off the pod about like ups and downs, and it's not always sunshine and rainbows and traveling and
Yeah.
having fun. There's some hardship that happens.
Yeah.
I guess the question there would be, what would you tell your younger self if you could go back in time and talk to 16-year-old Joris? What would you tell him?
Oh, but that's actually the thing. I was gonna say, like, recently someone was telling me, would you rather get $10 million now or go back in time with the same knowledge that you have now, or just like so you can change things? It's like, just give me $10 million now. Like, there's
Yeah,
nothing I want to change. I don't need to like. So like tying with your question, like I don't feel like I would even tell my younger self anything because it would change who I am now, and I'm so satisfied with who I am now that I wouldn't want to touch it. It's
solid.
like
I love that.
even all the mistakes are now the reason that I understand, and I because without doing any mistakes, you just might do good, but you're just actually blindly going around. You don't
Yeah,
know, but then you
exactly.
make it. And the harder the mistake, the more you're gonna burn yourself, the more you're gonna know for real like what fire is capable of, and
Yeah, that's
and then
fire.
you can teach it. So I wouldn't change really anything. It's actually I come to realize with so much stuff happening that you can see a pattern. Like most people, they live like a quiet life. So like there's one thing happening, they lose someone. In good and bad, there's only a few things that happen, kind of. So you can
Yeah.
barely see any pattern. But like there's so much stuff going on, then you can see like oh, that's what's going on. Like every time I did something super good, there was something super bad, or you can see a pattern of like how things works.
Yeah, a more
Um,
broad, like, I guess what you're saying is perspective, because like for some
mm-hmm.
people, like the one bad thing happens to them and it's like the worst thing that's ever happened to them. They're crying and freaking out for months and it like
Yeah, yeah,
devastates them. But like with the perspective of having been through, thousands of ups and downs, like you get it, like you're just riding the wave. I have
mm-hmm.
that
Yeah,
on a sticky note
yeah,
somewhere in my house, just ride the wave. It's all part of the
mm-hmm.
process. Like,
Yeah,
even when you're in low times, like, just I constantly know in the back of my mind, like, it is gonna all be all right, and I'll get
yeah,
myself back to,
yeah.
the other side of the equation, yin and yang,
Like,
and
yeah, when you surf, at some point you're like in the wave, just killing it, and at some point you're like just crash under
underwater.
the wave, like,
Yeah,
and it's only a matter of time to like you emerge again and you catch another one and like boom, boom, boom. But it's also not knowing that this is going on. You suffer through the whole process. But when you know it's going on, you just do your best. You work to get out of the water and get on the board and like
yeah. It's like a detached perspective. You look at
yeah,
where you are, and you're like, well, I guess I'm under the water right now, but you're not like
yeah,
emotionally triggered by it. Like,
yeah,
obviously you feel feelings, but you're aware. Having that
yeah,
awareness in the back of your mind is huge.
yeah,
Uh, Tell
and
me
yeah.
about a low time that you've been through and what you learned from it.
Um, there's so many low times, but yeah, because with that perspective, like even if it was like low times, like somehow like I've always like had a good time in one sense.
Yeah.
Like and usually like the lower the time, like actually was compensating. It was like balancing with like the fact that I was like out here or I don't know, like just different breakups recently or relationship like not going well and like moving around, losing stuff. Like it was like triggering. Like it was hard like physically, but then I was like, wow, I'm just learning about new places, like exploring more. Like there was like so many good things that would actually instantly just cancel it. Like I would be in a bad spot and I would just leave the house on my bike and I was like, wow, yeah, it's nice out, it's open. It's like I don't know. It's like there's so much stuff to be grateful for still.
For real. That's huge.
So
Just being
so I was like,
grateful kind of
and then
helps.
realizing it was like, well, what's going wrong now is actually the price to pay to in order to like leave that kind of stuff. Like the fact that I decided to stay on this side. That's why most people they stay in their own base because it's like hard to like leave the comfort zone and like yeah, it takes a lot to leave to go live in another country kind of. Like
Yeah. It's a
You lose a lot.
big, huge like
Yeah.
move, dude. That's
And then the
kind of
more
crazy.
time goes on, the more you realize there's a lot of stuff that changes. Like it's not just you go there and then it's gonna be there's nothing to think about. It's like
That's pretty solid. So, what is the advice that you would give to somebody who's in a low point? What would you like? Hey, Joris, I'm really sad. I just went through a breakup, and I don't know. I drink too much, and I'm out of shape, and
actually you
I
do get
hate
a
myself.
lot
What do
of
you say?
those.
You get a lot of messages like that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most people that reach out are more for like
mental health.
insights or just to talk mental, just like just some yeah. Sometimes it's actually said like that, like I'm doing really bad, blah blah blah. Or sometimes it's just more like I can tell.
Yeah,
And then yeah, that's kind of cool. Usually I emphasis talk about the fact that it's all temporary. Like and I did not what I was saying, like not to let it affect you because you need to like do the necessary to get out of it, like or just to keep going. Like and we all learn it from riding bikes, you know. And most of the times, like bikers are kind of successful at all the things they do because like just have a way of doing things, very artsy. But when you think of a trick you want to do, like you end up on the floor for like an hour trying it, and then you when you land it, it's like 5 seconds. But it's for an hour, you don't realize that you're dirty, bleeding. That's not the end goal. The end goal is like it's the trick when it's done. You know, like it's
yes,
pretty much that this attitude. Like when you're down, it's like think you're working on it.
yeah,
And it's not because it looks perfect that you should be disappointed. Like you're working on it. It's okay to be on the floor. It's okay to like get a shinner and like start bleeding. Usually when you're trying to do a trick, you grab the bike and you just try it again right there. You know,
yeah,
when you're bleeding, it's like so if you have this mentality like in life, like trying things like for work, for like in your life, partners, like it doesn't matter if it doesn't work right away,
yeah. And that
and
gives
it's
a
okay
lot of
to
credit to
ah
the cliche. It is cliche, but like it's not how many times you fall down. It's just getting back up. And
yeah.
you're right. That comes from learning tricks on a BMX bike. Like if you can
Hmm.
conquer learning tail whips in on a bike and go through that much pain and eating shit and still and
Hmm.
then you get to the end of that process and now you have tail whips, like you can apply that to literally anything in life. Like
Yeah,
you put your
and
mind
I see
to
it.
something and go through the bleeding and the falling
Hmm.
metaphorically, and as long as you have that end goal in mind, like you'll get there.
Hmm.
But I think what
Yeah,
you said in the middle of that is so important because it's you can't just like let yourself be paralyzed in your self-pity and sorrow. Like you have to keep doing shit.
yeah,
You know what you have to do to get out of this hole, so
yeah,
take one little baby step at a time and get out of it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Reached the end of the video. Hopefully you enjoyed that clip. If you want to support me and the podcast, just subscribe and share the show with your friends. The full episode is in the description, so if you haven't, go check that out. It's also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever you listen to podcasts. And the goal is just to grow. So if you could share the show with your BMX homies, that'd be dope. If anybody that you know that is a BMX nerd and would enjoy this podcast, do me that favor, and we'll keep all these clips coming and one episode every week. So I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.